We're back again for another episode, and today we are taking part in what is called the Fraser Renaissance, baby. Today
Oh
we're talking about
man,
the 1999 seminal classic, The Mother Flippin' Mummy. Woo!
bruh,
I was so hyped when for this one.
dude,
I
the
was so
mummy
hyped.
is. There are some people who say like oh, anyone could have played. Wait, is this the right one? This ain't the right one.
Oh, that's The Rock,
Why does it say the Mummy full movie and it's just The Rock?
and it's just
Oh wait,
480 of
what?
the Scorpion King. Oh, this is The Mummy Returns.
Uh,
Somebody put this back in the wrong section at Blockbuster. Wow, somebody
Here's my
lied.
notes.
I was so hyped for this Mummy thing that I watched the first Mummy, then I watched the Mummy Returns, and
This
then
is
I
it. This is
skipped,
it.
and then I skipped the third Mummy. Just had to happen, and then I watched the Scorpion King.
I can't believe you did it, bro.
I had to know what like 11-year-old Dylan was experiencing.
Sure.
Let me tell you, was it an adventure?
The Scorpion King.
There's a scene in the beginning of the Scorpion King where like the Rock's, I don't even remember the Rock's name of his character. It's like Methuselah or something like that. His like brother got captured and is like trussed up, and the Rock goes in there to try and like rescue him, and he comes in like Hawkeye, and he has like this big bow and arrow, and it's got like 4 different arrows, and they each have a different arrowhead. So of course he shoots them, and they all 4 go in different directions. But when they hit like the first 2 guys, somehow the force of the arrow shoots them back like 10 feet. But then
really?
It gets better because the second 2 guys fly back another like 45 feet. I don't understand.
Is it this
like,
one, the Night Attack?
I don't know. I really hope so, because I do not understand how they thought. Obviously, the physics for this movie are not a thing. Like, they invented their own thing. But I saw it, I was like, you knew exactly what the rest of the film was going to be like as soon as you saw that guy fly 30 feet on a wire.
This movie was so wild.
It's such a weird thing, because normally I feel like when you do a spinoff, it's from a television show. You're
Sure.
like, oh, The Office was cool. Let's try to make, Dwight's
Jim and Pam
TV
a
show.
thing, or Dwight.
Let's
Yeah,
try
exactly.
to do
Yeah.
this. I've never really experienced it too many times where they got a where they got a freaking spinoff of a film that, because it was right a year after The Mummy Returns, so the whole thing was in the works, shot quick.
Yeah.
And then to experience the level of direct to DVD success that the Scorpion King has enjoyed, because there is 5 Scorpion King films.
That's crazy, bro.
No less than 4 DVD sequels, none of them ever again featuring The Rock.
That's crazy. So is he
One
even
of them
mentioned, or is it like Doctor Who? Like, it's just like a different.
It's just a different actor.
Oh, really? Playing the Scorpion
character.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ron Perlman is in one of them for no
Ron
reason.
Perlman is the Scorpion King?
He's not the Scorpion King. I think he's just like a villain.
Who are the Scorpion Kings? Like, who plays the Scorpion Kings after?
I have no idea. I think they were like other smaller like wrestling actors. You know what I mean? Because I think it still stayed like it was a WWF like co-production before before the WWF threatened them to actually change the name, and now it's WWE, which is some wrestling lore mythology.
World Wrestling Federation. All right, let's see. Kelly Who, Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan is awesome in it. I'm not gonna lie, but I was surprised that like it was diverse enough that like.
So we're talking. How many Scorpion Kings are there?
5.
5. So
I did
Scorpion King 2.
I did some Googling on this to find 5, and I think there's only 2 movies. Like Randy Couture.
Oh, Randy Couture? What?
So I definitely stayed like a WWE production thing.
Yeah, so
it was. I think it was always different.
Scorpion
now the
King
real
3,
test.
Victor Webster, Billy Zane. Oh, Ron Perlman.
Dave Bautista. Scorpion King 3. The man was putting in his work before he got to the big time, man.
Bro.
Before he got to the big time.
I ain't gonna hold you. Bautista is a good actor. Like, he's like, I think what Bautista's doing that's so impressive is that he's not a lot of like wrestlers turned actors. They're almost like caricatures of themselves. Like The Rock is The Rock, and no matter what movie that he's in, he's gonna play The Rock. I'd say his best acting performance was in what was that movie with Vince Vaughn where he plays like a bodyguard?
Which one?
He's in a movie with Vince Vaughn and he plays like a bodyguard, but he plays like a sensitive bodyguard. That's like the best acting I've ever seen him do.
Oh, that's fuck, what is that?
Be smart, be cool.
Yeah, be cool.
Be cool. Yeah, I think his comedy is really good in that one, but like everything else he's done, he plays like, you know, big hulking strong man. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really and the same thing with kind of John Cena, other than like the Peacemaker. He's and even with that, he's kind of playing like a caricature of himself. It almost feels like. But with Batista, like I don't know if you got to see the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, but that brother's acting. Like he's not trying to. In that movie, he's a big dude, but he's acting. It has nothing to do with his physical presence in some parts. He's just acting.
I think after Batista made the jump from like Drax, which is something that like he's a bit of a stiff, character because of the writing of it.
Great comic delivery though. Like his timing is great in those movies.
Right after that, I think he made the jump because then I remember like you saw him in the beginning really quick and like Blade Runner 2049, and you're like, even though it was a small snippet, you were like, oh, this is actually like this is a good sign. Like he could really get it with this, and then he did, a bunch of little other things like that. He did his own pacifier movie. It's like a little girl and a spy. They all got to tick that box off in their career checklist. But as far as like, the wrestler turned actors go, I think he's the best like actor. I think he jumped and made that transition because early films like this with The Rock, like I don't know, he feels a little bit more believable to me. And like he's actually a character versus like like Rundown. How fucking awesome was Rundown when you first saw that shit?
Oh yeah,
that was crazy. Him and fucking Sean William Scott and everything like that. And they're fighting the dudes in the forest. Like the action for that movie was balls to the wall. But now you kind of get The Rock, and it just kind of seems like it went a little too far. Like maybe an ego took over or something, and now it's just kind of like I don't see him as a character. I just see him as like there's The Rock. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's how I feel too. Like it almost just feels like someone in that movie is gonna be like, is that The Rock? Like that's how it feels sometimes when he's in movies. Same thing at John Cena. I feel like John Cena has a chance to with Peacemaker, and like he's willing to play nice with other actors. I'm not saying The Rock isn't, but like that Black Adam shit is insane. Like to think that he's like, we're gonna change up the ranking of the bro, you're playing Black Adam, dog. Like that's not.
Yeah,
you are a side character in Shazam's story. Like, why are you pretending to be more than you're not? Like, let's stop. If you wanted to be the next dude, then you needed to be Shazam. Like, like honestly,
you needed to be Superman at least.
Or Superman or something like or Green Lantern or something on me. Like, it's just like, what are you like? Black Adam isn't gonna be the next big bad. I'm sorry, but
that's what makes me believe the beef between him and Vin is so real, because I think they're more alike than different. Like they both wanted to be the master and controller of like their franchises. They wanted to have a hand in writing it, directing it, producing it without actually having those credits per se. So the fact that they both were there, only one of them was going to stay. And Vin's been in it since the beginning. So obviously,
and that's what I'm saying. Like it was
one to stay.
I heard that like The Rock felt like he was unprofessional on set, and I have heard some like negative things about Vin, but it's like at the end of the day with those Fast and Furious movies, like those movies are Paul Walker's, and when he passed away, the power struggle to like who like I hate to say it, I don't care about those movies without Paul Walker. I just don't.
Nah.
I don't care anymore. Like I do not care.
This is the part I say we're not gonna trash on a movie, and then I shit on a movie.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like I
8 and 9 are trash though. We can say it.
9 was one of the most ridiculous movies I have ever seen in my entire. That movie is insane.
It's bad.
It's bad. It's insane, dude.
I can sit behind an action movie that doesn't have like the biggest, deepest soul to it, because it's just going to be an action piece, but it comes a point where it's a parody of itself, which is very odd. And that's what it was. It's like trying to work through a 2.5 hour parody of itself. And it's like, it lost the soul of it. So like, I would stop at 7 because the way that they ended it was a nice kind of stop too.
Perfect, dude.
Like you could just walk away from it and be cool. And
Paul
now
Walker and Vin Diesel
it's
ride
not
off into the
work.
sunset, and that's perfect. You've done it. Like that's the perfect way to end the movie. We cement Paul Walker's legacy with the end of these movies because these were his babies. And we end it there, and y'all keep milking this motherfucker and acting like the guy's alive, and it just feels disrespectful after a certain point.
I thought they should.
Yeah, what are we doing?
At least wrote him off or something like that, because it makes no sense to be like, yeah, he's just with the kids.
He's around, but it just doesn't make sense.
Disappears, and at least at that point, not to like steal a job from someone, but why would you then continue to have Mia in all the films if you knew you weren't going to have Brian? You would have just left them both out of it and be like, well, they left this life behind. Yeah, then it would have made like a molecule more sense to me, you know.
Exactly. I was thinking about that with and Nev Campbell did not pass away, but in Scream 6, I don't know if you've seen that one.
I know that she's not in it.
Yeah, she's not in it, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying that she's not in it. But there's a point where, the lead Sam is like, where's Sydney? And then Courtney Cox's character goes, she moved away. She deserves her happy ending. And to me, it was like, that's fine. Like, just give me something that's like, Sydney's done with this. She can't. And in that context of like, Sydney in the point of these Scream movies has had a kid. She's blah, blah. All right. She's moved on. She's whatever. But like with these Fast and Furious movies, it makes no sense that Brian wouldn't be there if his wife is there.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we talking about? Like,
you could have just wrote her off too. You know what I mean?
You're telling me that Brian is like, I'm gonna take care of the kids. You go out there and race for the safety of the world. You go out there. Brian can make it to a freaking car meet in 3 minutes, and he's not out there driving. Get out of my face, dog. Get out of my face.
Boy said you got 4 minutes.
He's there, bro. Neon lights on the car and everything. He's there.
It's just hitting like this moment where it's almost becoming like a soap opera. Like they're just going. They opened up a book that said top 10 cliches in film, and it was like, okay, this guy's got to come out and be his evil brother that we never talked about. It won't actually fit into the canon because it doesn't make sense. It's a retcon. And then this one's gonna be the movie where he looks like he turned evil, even though he's not evil, and everyone knows that, but we'll market it that way. Yeah, and then you know what I mean? It's becoming like Days of Our Lives out there. The next thing you know, it's gonna be like they swapped Dom's brain into somebody else's body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that could be the next thing. That's how they recast him.
And then someone's gonna get it, and then Letty's gonna be in like Letty already came back from the dead. There was that whole trope too,
right?
So now they need somebody to be like Giselle was in a coma, and now she woke up from the coma. It's all soap opera shit now. You know what I mean?
Doesn't make any sense, bro. Like I don't. Yeah, I all I can do is like every time they announce when they showed Ludacris and Tyrese in space, I was like, all right, bro, I can't do this anymore, man. Like I can't. This is so far beyond racing for pink slips that I just, what are we talking about, dog? Like you just moved a rocket with your bare hands, or a missile. Like the Rock like guides a missile with his bare hands.
Yep.
And you're gonna sit here and say, dude, they're in the last one in 9. They're fighting on top of a semi or something, and
I can't even remember.
And like I don't know, going 90 miles an hour, standing perfectly still on top of a semi. And I think The Rock picks up John Cena, and his head breaks through a street sign, like I-90, like the I-95 sign or some shit. And he gets down, he shakes his head like it was a minor inconvenience. What do we?
It's nothing to me.
Yeah, like he's just like, oh God, like are y'all people at this point? Like what's going on? Like what?
I can't.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I can go on this tangent, and we're supposed to be talking about the brilliance of Brendan Fraser right now. But oh man, those Fast and Furious movies.
What's bad is we're gonna watch the new Fast and Furious,
and Brendan Fraser will be in it. He'll be the next big bad.
The only reason I watch it, man.
He'll be Dom's uncle that we just didn't know about.
Dom's uncle, I was there the day your father burned on the
Dom. He's trying to kill Letty, but he's family. Fast and the Furious 11.
We'll forgive his war crimes.
Yeah, right. Like, come on, bro.
We've had the president write him a full pardon, even though he burned down an entire village in Zimbabwe.
Oh man. But anyway, we're talking The Mummy. I've just been on this really big Brendan Fraser kick with his resurgence this year, winning the Oscar for Best Actor. You didn't get to see The Whale, right?
No. I did read about it because I was like, I don't know, I'm not in the mood for an emotional flick, so I think
that movie is emotional. Yeah, I watched it with
deep.
I watched it with Angelica, and bro, that movie is so. He gives it his all in that movie, dude. Obesity is a real thing in America. A lot of people struggle with it, but this movie, I remember when it came out, people were like, we live in a very hypersensitive culture nowadays, and I do think that accepting people at any weight that they are is extremely amazing, and like obviously, like no matter what weight you are, this should be something like you shouldn't be judged or made fun of for your weight. Like that stuff's ridiculous. But people felt like this movie was looking down upon people who may be obese or morbidly obese, but the movie kind of gives you a reason. Not like people think that people are obese for they just don't know, like they just don't eat right. They don't know how to eat right. But sometimes there's a reason. Sometimes there's depression. There's a clinical reason, and this movie really delved into the depression aspect of it. That like this man's struggling with depression, and the only way he knew he could feel good about himself is by eating.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, that's a reality. People do struggle with like, I don't know how to cope with this terrible thing that's happened to me, and the only thing that makes me feel good is eating. You can tell that person working out makes you feel good, but what's easier than that is eating. And of course, they know it's bad for them. They know that they shouldn't be doing it. They're not idiots, but it's like, this is what makes me feel good, and I'm going to keep doing it because I'm in such a depressed state. Not everyone is, I'm not saying that that's apply all here, but that is, I'm sure there's a lot of people that deal with that. And this movie did it in such a brilliant way. Darren Aronofsky does such weird films, and this was the first film that I felt like he wasn't, because he was it was based off a stage play, and because it is based off a stage play, I feel like he was given like some good confines where he couldn't go too outside the box, and so it became one of my favorite Aronofsky films because he just has this kind of like, I don't know, even though the ending is very weird, there's a very good through line in it that I really enjoy. It was a good movie, and Brendan Fraser is fantastic in it. He's so good.
I think there's been a lot of like good movies and TV shows that have come out lately that have helped people focus more on like mental health. You know what I mean? This, I feel like, was one of them, was to try and go deeper and not just to be like, well, he's overeating, stop overeating, and to let people know like it isn't always that easy, the trigger for it. This, and like I talk a lot about Ted Lasso being my favorite recently because it's a show that like focuses heavily on mental health and figuring things out and getting your life together and therapy and whether or not to approach it or etc. And I'm glad that there's more stuff like that now that gives a highlight that kind of thing and getting your shit together. But Brendan's been on a kick for a while because he had been in a lot of different things here and there. He was on like a TV show, then he was on like Doom Patrol, where I know he does the voice because his character, obviously you don't see him except for like the beginning of it. And he's just kind of been ramping up speed. But him and what's his name? Short Round from Indiana Jones, Ke Kwan.
From, man.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. They're two really cool examples lately about how the Hollywood system will just fucking eat you, chew you up, spit you out. Where you're a hot one moment, you are killing it, you're on top of the world, and the next it's basically like it's done with you. Something happened, or the roles changed, or the environment changed, and it's a constant evolving machine, but it'll just kill you for years. And I think seeing actors like that, it's important to note that, like, to let people at home know, like, everyone's human. They're not above anything. They're just people working a job, and that sometimes like that job doesn't work out, even though you were on top of the world one minute. Yeah. So I think his story is a cool kind of like underdog thing to see him like kind of get back and get in these cool roles and just be like, hey, like, you know, it kicks your ass, but you get back up off the mat. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. I
And
think with
yeah,
it, well, you're
I'll
good.
keep going, keep going. No, I don't even have anything else to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think it's such a telling thing that like the resurgence that's happening right now with Brendan and Key is like, Brendan was, we're talking about the Mummy, and Brendan was at this point one of the biggest movie stars in the world. Like he was,
Oh yeah.
he was huge, and for him to like, you know, I think he said there was something that happened to him. Like, wasn't there like a groping or something that happened to him?
Yeah, I think there was a behind the scenes thing that just
Yeah,
yeah,
and
pushed him away.
he chose his mental health over, like, you know what I mean? Like he chose to step away and take time away and reevaluate what was important to him. I think he was saying that he was in a porta potty for some movie. And he was in that porta potty and he was just like, is this worth it? Like, is doing people, like wait their whole lives to have a break like Brendan Fraser had with this Mummy franchise. And I mean, I was watching this guy back when he was doing George of the Jungle. You know what I mean? Like Brendan Fraser was a huge part of my childhood, and to watch him like go from that to I'm stepping away from my own mental health and be there with my kids, like I don't know, man, that shit takes balls. Like, and then now see the resurgence of him come back, be greeted so well, and to still be so good at it. He's still a fantastic actor. It's like I don't know, man. And same thing with Key. Like again, what's that? Key's even longer, 25 years. Not a role in sight, gets everything everywhere all at once, and is a standout in that film. Like it's, I don't know, man. It's really cool to see the underdogs win, and we saw it twice in 1 year. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, from the outside, I've like changed my opinion on it and my viewpoint over the years, because I always just think like, that's crazy. Why would you walk away from something like that? Like, why turn that down? But it fits into the same story of like everyone's hero, Rick Moranis, like walking away. Like being fucking Rick Moranis was huge. Tons of comedy roles, dude. Fucking.
You want to talk about someone who was your childhood?
Everything. Yeah, Spaceballs,
Little Giants,
etc. Little Giants,
Little Shop of Horrors. That man was in everything, bro.
To walk away from it for something that's bigger, you think from the outside that's crazy, like he's living the dream, but it's like, no, it's different for Brendan to walk away from it. You know what I mean? It really makes you evaluate, what your goals and views are, what your priorities are in life, like what's important to you. So I think their stories like Rick's and Brendan's and Key's are really, really important to be like, hey, dude, like, this is that's that. I'm glad you enjoyed the work, but like I had to do my own thing. I have to get it together.
Yeah, like I came from I did theater for a long time. I did musical theater, and acting was a dream of mine. I really thought that I could make it in that world. And like seeing ironically seeing Dave Chappelle walk away.
Yep, that's
when he was given his third season, and he did that like a couple episodes and it was just too much. I'm not saying I would have been anything. I probably would have been nothing. But like knowing that like someone like him who was offered over $50 million to shoot whatever in a third season, and he was like, I feel like people are laughing at, like, I think he said that he did the whatever that sketch was where he plays like the stereotypes.
Yeah.
And he was doing the black one where he plays like the little black thing that like is like happy about the guy eating chicken or whatever.
Yeah.
Shooting that scene, and he saw one of the camera guys who was white crying laughing, and he thought it was so funny. And Dave Chappelle looked at that like, okay, are you laughing at the joke or are you laughing at black people?
Yeah.
And took a step back to be like, what am I doing here? And to say like, because most people be like, I don't give a fuck. I'm making 50 million. Like, I don't, whatever, bro, laugh. I don't care what you're laughing at. But to think that he took the time to be like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And again, with Brendan and all these other people, Key is in a different story. Key's story is more about like just the hardships of being an Asian American actor, which is a completely different, set of triumphs and tribes and tribulations. But like, it just goes to show that this dream that people have to make it in Hollywood, once you get there, it seems that a lot of people are being like, it isn't everything that you think it's going to be. Like, yeah, you get to be in movies and that's fantastic, but how much of yourself are you willing to sell in order to be the guy? You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy, bro.
It takes a lot out of you to do that. And And people think it's, sometimes, yeah, you kind of hit lightning and you get it quick. And a lot of times, like, you struggle for years. Like, listening to like Jenna Fisher on their Office Ladies podcast talk
Oh,
about it, it
sure.
was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like she had the same story that I'm sure like hundreds of people do. They were like, I quit. Like, I told them I was done, and my agent was like, one more, because it's just rejection after
You
rejection.
mean
And
like for the like? Do you know anything about like how she got casted? Like, was
yeah,
she?
because
Did she talk about it?
I don't can't remember if she did some commercials too, but
Sure.
she had explained that, yeah, that she was doing all this, all this stuff and auditioning and playing the Hollywood thing, and
Yeah,
it just,
playing the game. Yeah.
things just were not working, and I think she was trying to go back, and her agent had said no, and then they, got her to do the little screening, the test screening for all that, and
Mhm.
all the rest of that's history, but yeah, Hollywood is not a fun game, and I think it's been portrayed as something that's going to be like, oh yeah, you're going to get on a bus, you're going to have $100 in your pocket, and you're going to make it. That's why I
Yeah.
do like that film, Damien's film, La La Land, Ryan Gosling and shit, because
Mm.
it is one of those things where, like, yeah,
What
that's
a
her
real portrayal
character,
of it. Yeah, dude.
is her
Ooh.
trying to, Emma Stone's character trying to just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go there and live the dream. And meanwhile, it's like, no, you're living with 6 other women, you're splitting the rent,
At what cost?
you're
At
working
what
at
cost? Yeah.
Starbucks on the studio lot, and it's like you have to give everything and more
Yeah.
just to make it, and then sometimes it doesn't really turn out, what you think it would be. Because shit, Brandon was on top. He was, I don't remember what year
Ooh,
George of the Jungle was, but he was George of the Jungle, and the man was ripped. And he was on
bro.
the
Sex God, bro.
Zach Braff and Donald Faison and Scrubs Rewatch podcast. They had him on because Brendan has a
Did they
very
really?
famous, yeah, because Brendan's got a very famous stint on Scrubs, if you ever never seen it, where he plays is it the brother-in-law or whatever to Dr. Cox.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always got his little like camera, he's taking photos of people, and it has one of the best like emotional gut punch plot twists that's ever been in a TV show. I absolutely love it. And Brenda talked about like how to get in shape like that, like these Marvel guys, and that it's so much work that you kind of
Mm-hmm.
hate everything. The
Yeah.
amount of calories you have to consume, the amount of work you have to do, the gym hours. But he was in that. I remember the Looney Tunes Back in Action that he was in. He made a bunch of little things here
Yeah.
and there.
So yeah, 97 was George of
With
the Jungle.
97. That was when
Damn,
99 was the Mummy, right?
97. Yeah, 99 was the Mummy, the Mummy Returns,
In 01. I remember Bedazzled that he did with
Bedazzled.
what's her face from the Austin Powers film. And my favorite with him will
Yeah.
always be Blast from the Past that he did with Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah,
I
that's a
love
great
him in
one.
that
That's a
movie.
great film, dude. Yeah,
Just
for
playing
sure.
this like Captain America fish out of water-esque character.
Yep.
If you've never seen Blast from the Past, came out the same year as The Mummy, and his character is basically like he was a kid that was born in an underground bunker because his parents thought that like the bomb fell and that was it, and they got locked in their underground bunker for like 25 30 years, whatever, until it finally opened. And at that point, Brandon's like a full grown man, and he has to go up and try to discover the world that they thought was nuked when it really
Yeah.
wasn't, and watch him navigate how to the world and being so innocent in it. And I
Yeah.
just think it's like the best, I guess you call it a rom-com. At that point, it's
Oh yeah,
my
it
favorite
is. It's for sure.
rom-com.
It's for sure a rom
It's
com.
my
Yeah.
favorite one then, because I normally don't like them, but yeah,
Yeah,
I got
he's great,
I got a
man.
soft spot.
I remember my he was in Crash, and I remember like it's very well known that people didn't. This won the movie for best Oscar. I'm
And people,
99
yeah,
percent
and
sure.
people heavily
Yeah, disliked
argue
it
that it
or
really shouldn't have. Yeah.
yeah, but I remember like as a kid when I watched it, I thought it was good. Like I remember because Ludacris is in it, he's really good in it.
Ludacris is in
Yeah,
it.
Ludacris is in it. Yeah, he plays like a like it's almost like Crash. It's like you think one thing, but the person's completely different. And I think in that movie, it's like Ludacris, like they think he's gonna steal a car or something. He's like, "Oh, you think I would steal that car?" Like, but
Mm.
I think he does end up stealing the car. But it's like one of those things where it's like it's like you're playing. The movie's about playing on stereotypes. And Brendan Fraser,
Yeah.
I think, kind of plays like a not that likable of a guy, but he's still really good in it. And I don't think he's been bad in anything he's ever been in. So it's like he doesn't like it's kind of like Samuel L. Jackson. Even if the movie isn't the best, like Samuel L. wasn't.
Yeah.
He was great. You know,
He's like, I hold up my end.
Yeah, whatever lines you give me, I'm gonna deliver I'm gonna make sure this part is done well. I don't care what happens with the rest of it, you know.
The Mummy was crazy to me because it was one of those things where you hadn't had an Indiana Jones film in a long time, because technically the Last Crusade and they went off in the sunset was perceived to be the last, you know what I mean? Yeah. And this was years before Uncharted would ever come out, which I see is very similar in the same vein as this. You're going for horror, you're going for action, and you're going for comedy. And I just think like these had a nice sweet spot that existed before, before the National Treasures and everything like that, and then post Indiana Jones. So it just fit perfectly. It's still set in that same period, 20s, 30s, 40s, so that you can actually, believe that they're finding all these temples and it's not like
right. Yeah, exactly.
Which I like. I don't really enjoy when they're modern day. I like when you have a little bit of flair, you have a little bit of like a period piece.
Sure.
And I just think they, especially this one in particular, just works perfectly because it's almost more of a horror film than an action film at times. And I think when they went to The Mummy Returns and so on, when they lost that horror element, they lost something that grounded it. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, yeah. It was unique as a horror action, horror action movie with bits of comedy. But then, like, I feel like any good horror movie has some good comedy in it. But yeah, it's like once it returns to straight action, like we're not doing anything. Yeah, like it almost like they were like, let's appeal to a wider audience and not scare anybody. But it's like this bit right here where he like,
oh my god,
just like disgracefully and like who the fuck would just like mess with a dead corpse in a tomb? Like you're just asking to be cursed.
Like don't open that box that says don't open.
Let's
shove a crowbar.
Tomb. Yeah, let's just mess with this dead corpse. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Like this film and Jurassic Park to me, I think are very similar because they kicked off a franchise, but the first film will always be the best to me because they just got the elements right and they felt, I don't know, like the horror thing I think is real because the first Jurassic Park to me is more of a horror film. Like there's a lot of shit going on. There's killers, there's blood, there's whatever. Yeah. And then when you get to the sequels of it, it's mostly like, oh, quick, we got to run away. There's dinosaurs and it's all actiony and stuff like that. And it's weird because you want to capitalize on the success, but then it's like you start throwing away the things that made it successful in the first place,
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Unless you want to count the Rock Scorpion King as a horror element, and I'm there for it.
Yeah. I mean, are there really like movies that have gone on like to like how do I say like sequel like movies that are big franchises that have gotten better? I would say maybe like Mission Impossible is
I was just about to say
the outlier of like it gets better every single time. Most times if a movie's in like sequel land, it never really gets better. It can only get worse. You know what I mean? Like 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, because there's a zone that a film will get into when they're trying to do it like developmental hell, where like you'll have this film, so you have The Mummy and Mummy Returns, and then for years it's like let's do a third one.
Right.
And it's never the right idea, or the director or the people are busy. And that's where the third one was for years, same thing with like Jurassic Park 3 and shit like that. It'll spend like 10, 15 years never kicking around. And then by the time you finally do get it together, you get some fresh blood in it. It's like a coin toss on whether or not it's going to be good. Exactly. And that's how I feel about this third one and why I didn't watch it again. I've only seen it like once. Is because Rachel Weisz had a baby and then she cited problems with the script, but she was like, no, I'm not coming back. So the first thing when you see a different actress as her, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Why didn't they make her babysit the kids? Like
exactly.
They could have easily, like nothing against that character or anything, but if they knew they had to recast her and it was such a big movie and a giant budget, why not just be like, oh, it's this and Rick's by himself and Alex is grown up, their kid, and then blah, blah, blah. Because everyone else is back pretty much besides the Egyptian guy. So it's like, why even recast her then? Why not just make it without her?
Exactly. Yep.
Unless the ball was rolling at that point. And at that point, it's like you had Jet Li, you had yeah, the Great Wall, and you had like a dragon and Yetis, and you lost me, man. You really lost me.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I feel like when it comes to they talk about like with certain movies, like it's like catching lightning in a bottle. And the minute you go into sequel land, you're tempting fate to try to catch it twice. It's like The Hangover comes out, you captured lightning in a freaking bottle, and then you make The Hangover 2, and you're just like, bro, like we've seen it, we've seen this already. Like, what? How do you think like we'll just do the same movie again and we'll go like it's even better than the like? No, it won't be. Like it's the first one is the one you caught it. You know,
let's get this, guys. Let's make the same movie, but let's set it in a foreign country.
And we're looking for somebody else or whatever. It's just like
it's in Thailand.
Yeah, it's the same, bro. What are we talking about? Like the first Hangover, you caught lightning in a bottle with that movie.
That's like them making Bridesmaids 2, but it's in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like like now
that's a
Crystal
real
Lake is
thing,
getting married. We've seen it time and time again. Like, oh, Zoolander 2. Like, there's no reason Zoolander needed another movie, bro. Like, Zoolander was it, bro. You did it. You got it.
Alone.
Leave it alone, bro. You did it. Coming to America, I wanted to shoot somebody in the face. Are you like who thought to make a sequel to that, man? Like, leave it alone. Gosh, bro.
Yo, man. I wrote my own like story treatment for Jurassic Park 3 when I was in middle school because I
did you really?
Yeah, because they had the second one and I never thought that the third one would come out because every year or two I would be on Google and they would come out for different ideas. And one of the ideas at the time, I don't know if you remember the concept art. It was to make hybrid human dinosaurs. And they looked atrocious, man. They looked so bad. And I was so scared that they were going to make that movie. They were like these weird lizard-looking creature things that just looked funky. Like, I don't know who made that up. And they were like, yeah, it looks like Jurassic Park isn't going to get made this year. Because there's no chance in hell you get Spielberg back. He's going to be a producer to get it going, but then he's going to hand it off, which is what he's done for years. He did the same thing with Indiana Jones. He's not going to do it himself.
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck this, man. I'm going to write my own story treatment. And what's crazy is part of the story that I wrote actually got used in the Telltale game. Do you remember when
wait. Like you're in it? Like they used your script?
No, like they like, bro, I fucking wish, man. I wish. No, like it ended up being like similarities in what I wrote to there. So I thought I was really fucking cool. It was like the time I invented cereal straws, which was a fucking highway robbery. I'm very mad about this.
You were robbed for sure.
I was robbed. If I haven't told the story before,
I don't know if you have.
I was eating cereal. And I was using one of those bowls that has a straw attached to it.
Yes.
And I was like, this is the best thing ever. And then I was like, it would be better if instead of the straw in the bowl, it was a straw, but it was made of whatever cereal you were eating. And me and my brother were like in agreement, like we were going to fucking make it. We were handshook on everything.
Yeah.
And then like a week or two later, like we're watching Cartoon Network or something, and the commercial came on for cereal straws. And I was so livid because I was like, oh my God, they stole my invention. But I seriously did. I made up this plot for Jurassic Park 3 that was like, oh, some mercenaries like kidnap Alan Grant and take him to the island because they want to collect all like the leftover. Oh my God, is this a cereal straw commercial? Y'all giving me PTSD.
Dylan sees this commercial and goes like, are you kidding me now?
I'm telling you, that's the commercial. Yeah, it kills me. Yeah, Fruit Loops, cereal straws. You can't even get them still. I think they kind of like faded out.
Oh man, chocolate Cocoa Crispy cereal straw. Cocoa Crispy
cereal straw would be lit right now.
That's wild.
No, but anyways, yeah, the mercenaries like they want to get the missing DNA that got left on the island, particularly that the shaving cream can that had all the DNA in it.
Yeah,
it just kind of got washed up, and they. Oh my God, Hinata, bro, chill. I'm trying to tell my story.
Like, shut up. You already told the story before.
It's like nobody cares about your weak ass screenplay.
You said the producer coming in to tell you, talk about something else.
Is he talking about cereal straws again?
Yeah.
They kidnap him because he's known the island before. And then when the Telltale game came out, it involved like retrieving that shaving can. And I was like, here we go again, just stealing my shit again.
Yep.
You're not the, if you don't get your ass over here, we're talking about Brendan Fraser. The disrespect right now in my own house.
I'm telling you, man. She said, pick me up right now. Yeah, he not the, hey, baby girl. How you doing, baby girl? I used to love, I remember the one I was most...
actually like.
What?
No, what'd you say?
No, what were you saying? You said, did I actually what?
Did you like the Mummy Returns at all, really?
I mean, as a kid, I did. I can't like lie and say like watching it back now, it isn't as impressive as I remember it being. But when it first came out, I think I liked it. I knew I didn't like it more than the Mummy. But I think the only movie that I remember not liking, even when it came out, was Scorpion King. I didn't like it even then. I was kind of just like, oh, this is all right. You know, like it just, I don't know, it didn't feel, oh man, like I feel like Brendan Fraser had such like he's a really likable actor. He's really like easy to like on screen. So I feel like with the Scorpion King, it was kind of just like, all right, like, I guess, yeah, like, I don't, yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, all right, whatever, man. Like,
I was just disappointed that I felt like in the first one, because you got to think it's 99. That's when the Phantom Menace dropped.
Bro.
You know, we're working on the fucking Lord of the Rings film, so like CGI is about to blow. Like they had Jurassic Park and everything. They had their early swings at making it like, you know, worthy of, you know, replacing some of this physical stuff, sadly.
Yeah, right.
So when you got to like 99, you hit those films that started to really blend practical with visual, you know, with visual effects. And I thought The Mummy did it really well. Like there's some
that first scene looks like a cartoon though.
Yeah.
I was rewatching, I was like, this looks like the Prince of Egypt.
The fake fire and the crowd.
Yeah.
But then you got really nice shots, like when you see Imhotep for the first time, and he's like in moonlight. And you know, they blend the effects well. So it's disappointing when you get to The Mummy Returns and they just press the gas pedal on CG, and it's just like the monkeys, little pygmy things, the jungle that sucks itself up, you know, Jumanji style. Yep. Like it lost a lot of the heart of it, and I was like, okay. And then when those doors open up, and instead of Darth Maul, it's the Scorpion King, and you're like, why is he not just a dude that they fight with a sword? Why is he part Scorpion?
No, yeah, right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then forever, we just bashed it. See, and it's different nowadays because when Sonic looked like hell, the people spoke and Reddit threw down the gauntlet, and then they said, okay, no problem.
You gotta change it.
And they fixed Sonic enough to make him a franchise. But when Scorpion King came out looking like that, they didn't say, hey, what is that? You know, the internet wasn't ready.
Yeah,
it wasn't there yet.
Couldn't rally the troops like we could now. Now, but like
nowadays,
you like Sonic is a perfect example of like the internet bullying a studio to change it. You know what I mean? Like they spent so much money on to think they had to spend more and change it. That's them being bullied and being like, no one's gonna see this if we don't do this. They're like, all right, I guess we gotta throw up more money and redo all these scenes with this new, because it's not like a apply all. That's a going in, eat, like, you know what I mean? So it's like back then, like it was like if you didn't like something, it was like, oh well, it's like it. Yeah, it's the movie. Like,
enjoy this film for the next 4 years.
We'll make another one. Hopefully, we'll figure it out. Like
the people made up for it with Sonic 2 because Sonic 2 is fucking awesome.
I didn't see it. I've heard it's great though.
You never saw Sonic.
I never saw
Sonic 2.
I never saw
with Idris Elba, the man, the myth, the legend.
He's in that?
He plays Knuckles.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, no, I never saw it.
I ain't even never really played a Sonic game like that.
Really?
Since the Sega Genesis. But that movie is actually really good. I'm not gonna lie.
I gotta watch it. Yeah,
Tails comes in and everything like that. It's much better than the first movie.
I used to love Sonic games. I used to love Mega Man. That's Capcom too, right?
Yeah. Oh, that reminded me when I was doing some research for this, I looked up the gameplay for the Mummy games.
Yeah.
Good God, bro. Yeah. They even had one for like, oh my God, they got the Scorpion King in the game. I think maybe it looks a little better than the movie. I'll say it now. And it's hilarious. And then I didn't realize, like many 90s, 2000s movies, they gave them you know, animated shows. Like a ton of different movies got little animated
Oh
spin-offs. I
yeah,
had
for
no
sure.
idea that The Mummy had one.
There was a
The
George of the
Mummy
Jungle TV show.
was there?
Yeah.
The Mummy had one for like 2 seasons. You know, a Saturday morning lineup. You know, the greatest of the great.
Yeah.
And I did not know that. So I put that up there with the Godzilla, the 2000s Godzilla TV show that I guess was better than the
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
all the, I want to like get little DVDs out of all these, little
That was
animated
back when
shows
they
I
were
forgot
trying to
about.
make a buck, dog. Like yeah,
Mhm.
it was a different time back then where it was just like, all right, this movie did really well. How can we capitalize on it in every way, shape, and form? Video game, Game Boy game, TV show.
I mean, streaming has really changed it because the DVD was like where you made up the money. Like when
Yeah.
that bitch didn't make it at the box office, the DVD saved your
Oh
life.
yeah, for sure.
And they said the DVD for I think it was Scorpion King. It was either Mummy 2 or whatever.
Mm.
Was like the fastest selling DVD. It did like 2 million copies in like a week.
Dang.
And the only thing that did more was when like, a Star Wars film had come out. But
Sure.
I think that's crazy that that's not a thing anymore. Like you cannot save
Yeah.
yourself in that. Like you got to do it elsewhere. It's kind of sad,
Not at
honestly.
all. Yeah, exactly. Like it's again, like I understand that like movies back then when they would come out, you studios were able to be a little bit more risky with what they funded because it was like, all right, well, let's see what happens. Because
Yeah.
even if this doesn't perform extremely well at the box office, yeah, like you said, there's DVD sales,
There's
word
the
of
really
mouth. Who
bad
knows?
tie-in video game, you
Right? Yeah,
know.
like who knows? Whereas like now, yeah, if it doesn't do well, yeah, sure, it'll end up on a streaming service, but like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it isn't the same. I
It'll
really
end
do
up
wish there was like a place for a blockbuster still, or
Yeah, because it'll end up on streaming and then it'll end up on TNT on the weekends.
exactly edited curse words and 1,000 commercials and yeah, again, like there's no DVD menus, no DVD commentary, like all that stuff. You learn so much about movies with that stuff, that you just don't get
That's where I
anymore.
learned so much as a kid, and
Absolutely.
that got me so hyped about films is when I could like
Yeah.
find the DVD and it had like a little 20-minute making of feature, and then I
Mhm.
could like flex on people to be like, yo, you know how they made this scene?
Yeah. I think
Something
for
like
me, it was
that.
like I used to love watching horror movies as a kid, but obviously they would scare me. And most people would say, like, oh, after a horror movie, I need to watch
Hmm.
Disney, go to flip the Disney channel so I can feel a little better. For me, I would just watch the behind the scenes because it was always just like it would show you how they did it.
Yeah.
And as a kid, that would make me feel a little more like this isn't real, more than watching. Because it'd be like, I just watched The Ring and it scared the hell out of me. But I watched the behind the scenes and it'd be the ring girl dancing.
Just
So it's just
eating it
like,
crafty.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it's just like, and then it almost like just breaks the illusion of like, oh, that was an actor. That was an actor playing that part. There's nothing for me to be scared of. It was a movie. And I feel like kids now don't get that. Like it's just like you see the movie and it's like, unless you're gonna go on YouTube, bro, this gameplay crazy, dog. What are we talking about right now? Yeah.
There's a lot of
I like
you
how
can see
the
you can taste
lives are
the
just Brandon
polygons.
Fraser heads. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's just like,
Oh, good
yeah,
gosh.
14 Brendan Fraser head lives.
But even if some of these games were terrible, they're so nostalgic. Like they're actually really
Yeah,
fun
dude.
to go back to. And you just don't, yeah, you don't really get these kind of things anymore. They don't even want to spend the money on it because the inflation, that everything is so bad that the movie is so expensive. Like in
Right.
hindsight, the first two movies like combined like cost less to make than that third movie ended up for them. And they still like all made like the same amount of money, but obviously the first ones are considered successes because they had such a big gulf between them, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's insane. Like trying to make a film now is absolutely wild. Like someone telling you that they made the original Star Wars for like 17 million bucks or something is
Yeah,
fucking asinine. Like
absolutely.
you can't even do one shot with 17 million now for a film of that caliber. Like you're not gonna get it.
Nope.
It's kind of scary, but it takes all those kids who are like, I want to be directors, and it's like, no, you don't. Like
No, you don't.
you wanted to be a director 15, 20 years ago when you could and it was fun, but like You don't want to do it now. Like, would you like to direct a Marvel film?
Oh
Because
boy,
you ain't
that
gonna direct
sounds
that soulful indie film you've been dreaming about. You are gonna direct
yeah.
a superhero flick. Have you heard of Shazam?
Right? Yeah, dude.
Oh my god.
Dude. There's this famous quote by oh man, why am I blanking? I love this quote. It's by he directed Gone Girl.
And David Fincher?
David Fincher, yeah. Fincher has this famous quote. He was talking about directing Alien 3.
Yeah.
And obviously that movie wasn't perceived the best because obviously Alien 1 and 2 are just like
Yeah.
cinema classics. And he was talking about how when he was directing that movie, he didn't really feel like he directed it. There were so many hands cooking. There were so many hands in the pot that he just felt like he was just overwhelmed because there's just so many inputs. So the movie comes out and he feels like it wasn't even his movie anymore. He felt like it was just kind of like, all right, well, it gets received poorly, but so-and-so told me to do this, so-and-so told me to do this. But when the movie came out, no one gave a crap about what so-and-so and so. Everybody was blaming Robert. You're the reason this happened. So he talked about how that movie, even though it wasn't perceived well, taught him so much, which is if you're gonna blame me, then I want full control.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to like, if I'm being blamed, then I need to know that I'm being blamed because I made the call. And to me, it's like that. I'm sure you live in, we all work in like certain environments where it's like you're doing something because someone else told you to do it, but then something goes wrong and you're blamed for it. Yeah. And it's like that quote sticks with me because I want that control to be like, I'd rather be blamed knowing it was on me. I made the call. I made the wrong call. I shouldn't have done that. And that's why it's the increased by right now. I'll take that. That's on me. I shouldn't have done that. But to know that I had no say in the call and you're still blaming me for that is insane, bro. Like I don't know if that happens at your job, but it happens at mine all the time and it pisses me off.
No, I get what you mean. Like it's like an NFL game. Like when the Patriots lose, it's not like, oh, the defense did this. It's Tom
right.
Brady.
Regardless of how trash your O-line is,
quarterback's
like
fault.
why'd you guys lose? It's like I was sacked 11 times. Why'd you lose?
Yeah, it was him. Like they need a figure to take the blame. The fall guy.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're gonna, it's true though. It's like if the movie's gonna go down, it should be on the director because he's technically the final thing. But
right. He talked about how he was so shocked that like when the movie was getting all this crap, there was like nobody there to come like have his back. Like, oh, we as a team decided blah blah. He was like, no, they all just kind of let me take the fall. So it's like, okay,
F it, he's got it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jokes on them.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Then that dude, then he cooked, man.
Yeah, he's all right. Fine, let me cook.
Out. He's a FU 7 Zodiac, Gone Girl, friggin' damn, I can't even think of anything else right now.
He's Social Network, right?
That's what he's doing. Social Network. Yeah, sorry, Tyler.
Yeah, right.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
But it's true though. Yeah, they look to you and that's, I don't know. It kind of.
And do you want to be the person that directs the next Marvel movie when we know how these nerds act? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
gosh, I don't know.
Sheesh, bro.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Although it is kind of weird. The landscape seems to be changing a little bit where it's, when you do have these mega franchises, it seems to be that like, it's a weird toss-up because there are certain times where you'll enter the machine like Marvel and the top brass will basically run the show for you and let you put your name on it, but they ran the show. So if it goes bad, they'll be like, well, I didn't have much say. But then they'll get guys like, what's his face for Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn, and they'll just kind of be like, yeah, we let him do wherever he wants.
Let him
cook. See in the film that they let him do whatever he wants.
Exactly.
And it's weird to me, like the faith they have in certain people. It must just be like a read in the moment. They interview them, they look at them, and they think like, oh, he's got it, or he's kind of a wild card, and maybe we should pull this string.
Right. There's that famous example of Josh Trank with the Fantastic Four movie.
Good grief.
And honestly, like I think Josh Trank. Yeah, I feel bad for him because I feel like Josh Trank is a good director. He did Chronicle, and again, I always feel like it's one of the most slept on superhero movies of all time. And you can clearly see it in Fantastic Four because I think it does. It starts strong.
Yeah,
them getting the
beats.
powers. Yeah, them from the beginning of the movie to them getting their powers. I think it's a pretty solid movie. It's the minute they get their powers, and it goes like 5 years later or whatever it says, the movie goes to shit. And
it's like another 2 hours of them in a lab doing nothing.
Yeah, it's a completely different movie. It's like, it's Johnny coming down and he's on fire and he's testing something. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, what? Like, we're following together for so long. They just get their powers. And now you're going to tell me 5 years later? Like, I want to know what happened immediately after. Like, what do you mean? Whatever, bro.
And it's horrible, too, because you hire these directors based off of like the work you were impressed by. So everyone saw Chronicle and they were like, let's hire this guy. Let's give him a chance. And then he shows up and you're just like, yeah, you sit there and we'll do it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's what's so frustrating is that he was making the movie that he's good at making, which is ordinary people get superhuman abilities. And what does that mean in a, like, obviously in the Jessica Alba version, they're just like, I'm invisible. I don't know, but like, he could have, like with Michael B. Jordan and freaking like he could have made that insane, like it's not, I don't know, man. It's really, I always think about this. If there, I'll end this with this. If there was any franchise or comic book or something, is there anything you've ever thought about? Like, if I had a chance to direct it, I think I would do a good job. Is there anything for you that you think like doesn't matter what it is, book, comic book, I don't care what it is. Like, is there something that you feel like if I got my hands and was able to cook, I feel like I could make a pretty decent telling of this story?
Sorry, not to just like took off while sitting.
Do you want to go get the source material?
Dad. This. Like, quick, this.
Yeah.
If she picked up a book from the shelf, I'd be
impressed.
Yeah, right? I'm trying to think about this. It's a really effing good question.
Right.
There's a couple things I wanted to take a stab at. And one of them, my God, Hinata, do you want to direct the movie too? She wants it to be in the next Air Bud.
Yeah.
She's like, Dad, I could ball.
I could ball, man. Put me on the court, coach.
She's looking at me like, I'm gonna cross those ankles right now, boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever seen that meme of the priest crossing up the kid on the court?
Yeah.
He's like, in Jesus' name, I'm cross your ankles, boy.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to take a stab at certain like King novels that they haven't actually adapted, which is fewer and fewer because they blow through his things. I mean, The Dark Tower, for one, everyone wants to see something done nicely with that.
Yeah.
But honestly, the stuff I really wanted to do was actually funny enough, is actually the Universal monster stuff.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I really wanted to see something get done with like the OGs, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Invisible Man, the stuff like that. And just to make it something that's more centered on being classic, and I think that's what they do nicely with at least this first Mummy movie, is that they know the limitations of the classic Mummy, but at the same time they know that everything's been updated, so they do like a nice blend.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a little bit of what I'm looking for. So like, let's try to get it to be as nostalgic in a way as we can. And at this point, the closest thing that's ever been made is Young Frankenstein that Mel Brooks did. Because it was black and white. They literally used like the equipment from the Frankenstein films. Like there was so much, even though it's a parody in a lot of ways, there's so much about it that it was like he knew like the heart and soul of those films, and to be able to like make something like that would be legit. And it's funny because at this point you forgot that they did The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
like they literally tried to start their dark franchise universe.
You can go ahead and reset that. Yeah, that's
good.
Yeah, it's not.
They wanted to, for people who don't remember it, they wanted to do like a new version of every single one of those classic horror monsters, and they were going to start with The Mummy, which makes no sense because it had been done so many times previously. But I guess they didn't want to touch Dracula because that's been touched a lot,
a trillion times, a trillion ways.
The Universal paid Tom Cruise just this egregious amount of money to do this movie. I don't even remember what the figure was, but it was like a freaking Steph Curry, Patrick Mahomes level payday. And they did the movie and it was horrible.
One of Tom Cruise's few misses, man.
It really was a miss. The only good thing about it to me was what's his face playing Dr. Jekyll. Oh, what the hell is his name? Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe played Dr.
Oh,
Jekyll.
did you? I didn't even watch it. I
And
heard it was so
Dr.
bad. I was like,
Jekyll was supposed to be one of those things that like carried across the films, and they wanted to like,
uh,
they did the whole Justice League thing where they laid down seeds for other films to take place
sure.
because they came out with a photo like around that time with all the cast that they hired for all these other films that they already
Really?
lined up. Yeah, I was gonna say we could look it up. Johnny Depp was supposed to play the new Invisible Man. Angelina Jolie, I believe, was going to be the Bride of Frankenstein, and there was a couple other characters. Russell was supposed to go between as Dr. Jekyll. They had, all this other stuff. Tom Cruise, and they did a whole cast photo of everyone dressed up and just chilling, and they were really going to take off on this new universe. And it bombed so hard with the Mummy that they canceled everything, and it was so embarrassing. Yeah, Javier Bardem was in there. He was gonna play a character as well.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Like it was a lot of heavy hitters, that were gonna be there. And it really just tanked so badly because obviously if the first one doesn't work, it's hard to then pull you through. You know what I mean? If Iron Man never worked, you ain't really getting more per se. And it's so upsetting to me because it's like you get so far away from making a cool version, of all these old films. And it's why I just like to keep exploring, 30s and 40s cinema, because it's like, well,
Yeah.
if it's never going to become real, I might as well keep looking for similar things and
That
in
makes
that
sense.
time period, and then or just appreciating what was there in the first place. Is there
Yeah.
something for you that you always wanted to do?
For me, obviously, if I ever got a chance to do anything Power Rangers related, it'd be like
That'd be dope.
a dream come true. Yeah, even seeing the 2017 movie, like there's so much that I feel like a Power Rangers movie can do, grounded in reality that just hasn't. I don't know, it hasn't been touched yet. There's a lot that original. There's a lot that the show did for us as kids in terms of like representation and stuff like that. I thought the new movie did a really good job with having like a black kid with autism be a Power Ranger, but he was like a really crucial part. I don't know if you ever saw the 2017 version, but
once,
yeah. So for me, it was close, but just didn't quite hit the cigar. So like obviously that would be amazing. I'd love to do a Static Shock live action movie. For me, that'd be
legit.
Insane. And I know the source material so well that I feel like it would be. So for me, it would be Power Rangers, Static Shock, and then I'd love to make something in the Strangers universe. That to me would be amazing. The Strangers is like my favorite horror movie of all time, and there's something creepy about a group of individuals stalking a house because they know they can.
Just for kicks.
Yeah, there's something so eerie about that. And as a kid, like it just made it like, because you can say it's based on true events and it doesn't really have to be based on anything, because it can be. It happens all the time. People are crazy out here. Mm-hmm. So to be able to tell a story, and I think just set it in a place that it just isn't normally set. Like I hate to say this, but like we've done the rich suburban lifestyle so many times. If it was set in like a, I don't know, inner city place or somewhere where it's like people that look like us or look like that are in the same situation, like how does that movie play? Like so it at least gives it a new twist on something that's still scary as fuck because it happens, but like I don't know. I feel like there's something there that would be really fun.
No, I get what you mean. It's like the Evil Dead leaving the scary cabin.
Exactly, right? Like it's in a high-rise apartment now. You know what I mean? Like how does that play?
Yeah, exactly. Something that's like more, in your own neighborhood kind of thing.
There's something to me like, because like it's, this first Strangers, even the second one, honestly, like the first one is in an abandoned cabin. The second one I think was in a trailer. But I feel like it'd be really cool to do it in like the projects or somewhere where like, even if they call the cops, we know they ain't coming or they're not coming anytime soon. You know what I mean? So it's like, how does that play? Like they're all the all the things where people were like, I can't believe that they don't have a charger. I can't believe blah, blah. What if the cops just don't show? Because then they talk about the statistics, like they don't show in the projects that fast, sometimes hours and hours after. So you have a working cell phone. It's just the people aren't coming. Like, I don't even have to like write a bad battery. That's just how it goes. So like,
exactly.
What do? You know, like to me, like that would be a really fun. I don't know, it'd be a really fun story to tell. Obviously, scary that it could actually happen, but I think it'd be a cool twist on something that exists. And it'd be, you know, because I don't know if it would be the same Strangers or whatever. Because I know they're making another. I think they're making 3 more movies of the Strangers. Wolf. So I might be lucked out there, but it would be a lot of fun to play like some kind of like home invasion, apartment invasion movie based in that setting to see how it plays. But for me, a dream of mine would be a Power Rangers movie. That would be. Oh, that'd be so fun.
It's always disappointing too when you see them do something and then it just doesn't work. Like it flops or it doesn't hit all the buttons. So then it's like, how many more years until they take another step?
Until they exactly
like to do.
Yeah, and will I be in a position to be involved? Yeah, it'd be great to direct it or something, but like just be involved would be amazing. You know, but to me, it's just like they're. Oh, we talked about going to MegaCon. I'll talk about this lastly. We both talked about going to MegaCon and going to see the Power Rangers. I showed them the film cell.
Oh, for real?
When I showed you, I brought it and I brought like a USB battery so like they could see it lit up.
Ooh, that was a good idea.
Right, and Karen Ashley, the girl who played Aisha in the movie, was like, "This is like I want one. Like this is amazing." And even though Walter wasn't in the movie. Like he thought it was cool. They both signed it, and they're still getting a bunch of people like, "Oh, you were a huge inspiration," yada yada yada. And I'm like, the fandom is still strong, and like it's cool to see like all these fandoms, even for you, Dylan, like the fandoms you have with like these older movies, they exist, and if you can find a way to tell these stories, I don't know if you want to do a time period piece or even like set it in like today's time, but it's especially for the things that you're trying to do because not many people know about that stuff, you know. So it's like. Someone's gonna be like, is this original? Like, what is this? You know, like I've never seen anything like this. You know?
Yeah, I've slowly come to the realization and perspective that I'm like, you know, a lot of the stuff that I'd like to see or work on or do whatever, I'm not really gonna get it, or like that's not the kind of things that they do. So that's what's pushed me more and more to be like, I'm just gonna make books out of a lot of these things because I think that the way that the film system is going in the studio, barring like a big revival and like a fresh, you know, breath of fresh air, I think it's just going in a weird direction. So it's like I'd rather start writing out some of these things than spending my time hoping it would be a film. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then just being disappointed by like what is out there. So that's why I was like, well, I'm just gonna write any of these, you know, these ideas down. But for me, the funny thing is that the fandom exists for the stuff I like, you know, the Turner Classic Movie Channel and all these other things. But it's always, for the most part, it's just a lot of people that are so much older than me.
Yeah.
So it's funny to like go to these things and then be in the theater and just be like, yeah, I'm holding down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I'm the bottom of the age group.
Yeah.
But it's fun to me because you wrinkle people's brains a lot because they're just like, oh, you don't know anything about this film. And it's like, oh, no, sir.
Yeah, you probably know more than them. Exactly.
I do know something about this film.
Yeah, exactly.
And I found that the people that are really into movies and the trivia and the history of it, like I see it a lot of them that are younger and younger, like especially on Instagram that have all these, you know, classic movie pages and things like that.
Sure.
So it's definitely something that I think is growing, that people are appreciating a lot of these classics more. And I think it'll just get bigger and bigger the shittier that Hollywood gets now. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, it's
like the more that we push towards this golden age of television and HBO and the streaming, I think the more they're gonna look back because they're just gonna be like, yeah, you know, the content is either superheroes or it's just like morbid.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's getting a little depressing out there. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah, man. But yeah, final thoughts on the Mummy, bro. Any final thoughts, man? Fraser, the Renaissance, man.
I got to get the tape, the VHS tape, because I don't think I have it. I did manage to find the Blast from the Past one the other day.
That's dope.
I gotta get my Brendan collection. I jumped on this real quick when we found this. So
nice.
And this episode will be out before
Yes,
Master, correct? Okay.
2 days, yeah.
All right, cool.
Yep. Yeah, right. Final thoughts for me. I think I picked this one. Yeah, I think it's just I'm a huge fan of an underdog story, and rewatching this was just cool to see Brendan Fraser. I don't know how he felt mentally when he did this movie, but it's almost like you're just watching a good guy win.
Mm-hmm.
And he just seems like such a humble actor, a guy who doesn't treat this like he's better than people. He's just a guy that's good at his job and likes doing his job. And I don't know, I like seeing people like that win. So to me, it was just like really awesome to revisit these movies, and I'm really enjoying the renaissance that he's having like this like resurgence, everyone like universally loving what he's doing and giving him his flowers while he's still alive. And hope that still continues because he just seems like such a good soul, you know.
Yeah, very Keanu like.
Yeah, exactly. Like Keanu is just like those kind of dudes. Like they get their flowers early because they deserve them. Like it's just like you guys, they never tried to do anything or pretend to be anyone that they're not. Like I do my job, I go home, guys. Like I'm just like you. And to me, it's just there's so many famous people out there, you know, that maybe aren't even A-listers. Like you see TikTokers out there that pretend they're better than people. You know, like it's insane, bro. Like we're all the same. If you're lucky enough to be in movies, that's fantastic, and you know, count your blessings. But there's nothing wrong with like wanting to. You see all the time like pyramid schemes and like, oh, you're just on your bum working a 9 to 5. Like, how lazy are you? Like, some people want to work 9 to 5. So I mean, some people just want to work their 9 to 5, go home with their family, make enough to live, and that's okay. That doesn't make you not a hustler, not a, you know, it's fine. Like someone's got to work. Someone's got to work the McDonald's to get your burger. I mean, that's how that shit goes. So
true story, bro.
You know what I mean?
True story.
But anyway, yeah, it's been Cam.
It's been DeLong.
Been Xtra Butta. Stay tuned. Next time we got Disha coming on for the Page Master. I know y'all think I picked that one, but I promise I didn't. That was a pick. That was her pick. But yeah, stay tuned, man. That was gonna be a really fun episode. So until then, later, guys.
Stay popping.